2019 Tampa Bay Buccaneers season, and you know we were all super hyped for what this season was going to bring, especially with Bruce Arians in and all the stuff we heard from training camp about Ronald Jones and how this offense is looking amazing in the defense. And of course, week one, we fall right flat on our face. What the was that? Literally, we had all offseason to prepare for the 49ers. Garoppolo was coming back from an injury. Their offense really isn't that good. Our defense was supposed to be amazing, and they played extremely well. Our offense was supposed to be that highly famed Bruce Arians, high-scoring, high-powered offense, and we fell right flat on our face, and we couldn't do anything. Is this team cursed? Are we ever going to have a good season? Are we ever going to feel joyful as Bucs fans? I know it's only 1 week, but it is against a pretty bad opponent in Tampa Bay in the hot weather, and we still came up really flat. The team came out with no energy, especially the offense. The offense just was flat. Jameis didn't look like himself. I don't know what was going on. It looked like they weren't ready to play. I don't know what it is, but this team is definitely cursed or something. But before I get into the rest of this reaction, if you are new here, make sure you click the subscribe button down below. I will be doing weekly Bucs reactions videos all season, just like I did last year. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned to that. But let's get into the winners and the losers of the game. I will start specifically with the winners, and to be honest, there weren't many. I usually try to aim for 3, but I could only get 2. The first one would be our defense overall. We held Jimmy Garoppolo to a low number of completions and yards. I want to say under 200 yards. And he completed somewhere around 50% of his passes. I don't have the numbers exactly, but that is incredible because as you remember, when we had Mike Smith defenses, we were giving up 80% completions to the worst of quarterbacks. So being able to do that, I think Vernon Hargreaves played amazing. He had that pick 6. I know we were all down on him. He only had 1 interception his whole career prior to today, but it seems like this defense really is now kind of stepped up and doing its thing and can ideally carry the team. I'm pretty excited about what this defense is going to do moving forward. We did need a little bit more of a pass rush because it wasn't there at all. And obviously, as we know, JPP's out. He may potentially come back no earlier than October. So we'll see. I think he's back in physical therapy. So hopefully by then we'll have him back. I know Vita Vea was out all preseason, so maybe he's still a little rusty trying to get back into the groove of things. Ndamukong Suh played okay. The D-line could have been much better. Our linebackers played really well. Our corners, even though we had a lot of penalties on defense, which I'll get into later. But I think overall our defense played really well. And again, the San Francisco offense did not score 31 points. 2 of those touchdowns were pick 6s. So I mean, what was it, 31? You take away 14, they had 17 points total on offense. That's not good. We would have won if it was just the offense. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, the defense, big shout out to them, big improvement. We'll see next week when we play Carolina. They put up a lot of points today against the Rams, so we'll see if they have a really good offense and what our defense can do to neutralize them. The second winner of the day has to go to Ronald Jones. I know all of us were screaming bust, but he did have 13 carries for 75 yards, especially in the second half. I'm glad we took Peyton Barber out and we kept Ronald Jones in because he was balling out. It seemed like every single time he touched the ball, he was getting at least 7 yards a carry. Like, there were multiple drives. I want to 2 that I can remember specifically in the second half where every time we gave it to him, it was like first down after first down after first down. And of course, when we got in the red zone, we stopped running it and started passing, which makes no sense. We should have just kept pounding it because they could not stop the run. But I'm very, very impressed with him. I heard Rondé Barber in the commentating and saying that Ronald Jones gained about 20 pounds this offseason, so he was a lot bulkier. He doesn't look super big, but he's bulkier than he was last year, and it made him stronger in the run. And he's pretty fast. Like, he looks faster than last year. So big shout out to Ronald Jones. Hopefully this is just the start of a really good season for him. And the way he played today, I think we have to keep feeding him the ball and start thinking about putting him as our #1 running back and delegate Peyton Barber to our second. Barber didn't do too much today. Barber, I think, would be good late game if we're winning and we need just someone to pound the ball and tire out the defense. But Ronald Jones looks amazing, and I'm really excited to see what he does moving forward. Now let's switch over to the losers of the game. It was very hard for me to pick 3, but I think I narrowed it down to 3. So the first one would go to our special teams punter. Their first block punt was completely unacceptable. It was the first punt of the season. I don't know what happened. Our line overall has sucked on offense and it looks like special teams. We didn't give up too many points, just a field goal there, but still that shouldn't have been a situation where we gave up 3 points. We should have been able to punt it. Not too much to say there. On the flip side though, our field goal kicking has improved, or appears it has, with Matt Gay. So there's a positive in that, but I would say one of the losers is our punter. Our second loser of the game has to be the offense as a whole and Jameis Winston. Specifically, 20 completions, 194 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 picks, which 2 were returned for touchdowns. Now, the first interception, I do not blame Jameis. It hit, looked like O.J. Howard right in the hands around this area right here, and of course he smacked it up in the air, picked off, don't blame that. The second pick six the first pick six, which was the second interception by Richard Sherman, I don't want to blame too much on Jameis. It looked like the receiver slipped on his break and Jameis threw it at the right time, so when the receiver turned, it would have been right there. Not necessarily his fault, because he did throw with anticipation, so he couldn't have seen it coming. But the third one at the end of the game, when we were down 6 with a shot to go down and potentially win the game, was absolutely inexcusable. Jameis, went back, the pocket collapsed, threw the ball, looked like to nobody. It looked like Dare was supposed to go there, but he got blocked up, or with the big crowd of players. Pick 6 pretty much put the game out of reach. The offense as a whole wasn't good. There was a lot of drop passes in the first half. Mike Evans didn't play well, only 2 catches. I saw on Twitter one of the Bucs people were talking about after that third Jameis pick at the end, Bruce Arians flipped out on Dare on the sideline, which kind of points to maybe Dare went, did something wrong, and potentially if he did something right could have prevented it. But either way, Jameis should have thrown the ball away or taken the sack. I mean, it was absolutely inexcusable in that play, and I know they spent all offseason trying to drill Jameis to stop being Superman, take the sack if needed, because you get to live to play another down. And it looks like those old habits are there. It seems at this point that the Bucs front office may have to start looking at quarterbacks in the draft. Just keeping an eye out on a couple, because if Jameis, three picks and 1 touchdown is not a good way to start the season. I want to say the offensive line held their own pretty well against the Niners, but could have been better. There's a lot of times Jameis was under pressure running, getting hit and things like that. I think overall our offense came out with no energy, no pulse. Besides Ronald Jones running, the rest of the offense looked pretty bad. Jameis came out with no energy as well. And again, like I said, for us to have a good season, regardless of how good our defense is, our offense has to be able to control, and I mean not turn the ball over, and actually be able to put up some points. O.J. Howard had that fumble, that ridiculous fumble. I mean, without those turnovers, we probably win the game. As you know, 14 points came off of turnovers for the Niners. So hopefully next week against Carolina, again, that's a hit or miss. It's Thursday night, short week. We're traveling to Carolina. They played pretty well against the Rams today, so I got to see what Bruce Arians has to say about the offense and Jameis. I think the play calling in the red zone sucked. Every time we got in by running the ball, we switched to passes. It just wasn't a good showing for the offense for their first game of the season. Hopefully this does turn around. I know when Bruce Arians was in Arizona their first season, Carson Palmer had some struggles early on in the season with getting hit and throwing interceptions. So hopefully we follow that trend and Jameis blows up like Carson Palmer did. The third loser of the game I want to give to the team as a whole, and specifically coaching, because of all the turnovers. I want to say we had about about 100 yards worth of penalties. There was literally a drive in the second or third quarter where every time we held San Francisco on third down, there was a defensive pass interference, defensive holding. I think it's completely unacceptable. We had 2 touchdowns ruled back because of DeMar Dotson holding. That's a 14-point swing right there. I think the team is not disciplined at all, and we all know Bruce Arians has an accountability sheet, so he will be drilling it in the team's head tomorrow or whenever they go back into the building, and I know he's going to call everyone out and ask them what's going on. So the penalties, we have to cut those down. We've historically been very bad in penalties, especially in the last decade, and hopefully this does change, because we cannot win games by giving up 100 yards to the opponent, especially when we're holding them on defense and then they're getting first downs off of really, really stupid mistakes. So looking forward to next week against Carolina. Honestly, I had us winning that game prior to the season, but the way we look today and the way they looked is going to be a tough one. Again, it's week 1, first game on that offense, first game in that defense, first game kind of with this coaching. So maybe there needs to be a little acclimation period. Some players are coming back from injury and may look a little rusty. Hopefully we can pull it off in Carolina. I don't think it's an absolute loss. I think we have a legitimate shot of winning because it is a division rival and we usually play them close. But yeah, that's about it. If you have any thoughts on what you would like to see, what do you think of Jameis? That's actually what I want to ask. What do you think of Jameis moving forward this season and the offense as a whole? Please comment that down below. Let me know if you think Jameis will turn around from this game and have a pretty average to good season, or do you think we're going to fall flat on our face and be looking for a quarterback come next season? But yeah, thank you for tuning into my Bucs reaction. Once again, make sure you click the subscribe button down below. I will be posting weekly Buccaneers videos on my channel, so definitely stay tuned to see those. And Buc Nation, we are 0-1 for the first time in 4 seasons. We won our openers the last 3 seasons, so who knows, we might go on a 5-game win streak, or we might not win a game for a month. Hopefully we start winning. But yeah, that is all, and I am out.
Our offense tough, our defense rough. Go Bucs, go Bucs. Ain't no other team stopping us. Go Bucs, go Bucs.